Hello, everyone, and welcome to Artful Impact. I'm Maria Tran. Today, we have Tina Alcorace, founder and director of Rise Academy of Music. She's an accomplished vocal coach, music teacher, songwriter, and performing artist with over a decade of experience. Her extensive qualifications include Masters in Teaching Music, a Bachelor of Contemporary Music, certifications as a voice technician, and APPI Pilates instructor. Oh my gosh, you are so diverse. And she has a rich background in entertainment industry. She has appeared on popular television shows such as Young Talent Time, Australia's Got Talent, and The Voice Australia, showcasing her talent and her expertise. She's inspired by unwavering belief in hard work, humility, and passion. She's established Rise Academy of Music to provide a nurturing environment for aspiring musicians. Her dedication to lifelong learning and exceptional abilities make her one of the most highly sought after mentors and guide in the world of music in Australia. So thank you so much, Tina, for joining us.
Thank you for that incredible introduction.
Because you are an incredible human being. And I was just trying to find ways to kind of encapsulate it all in sort of like an intro. There's still more, but I'm like, how do I quickly do that? But can you start off by sharing to our audience some of your journey as how you got into being a musician, a singer-songwriter, as well as how that kind of translated into your journey to being a coach, and also establishing your Rise Academy of Music?
Yeah, sure. Basically, music's kind of been, as I'm sure you've heard many times from musicians, it's been a part of my life. It's kind of all I've known. I was raised in a very musical family, and it's kind of, it's not what I do, it's who I am. It's kind of all I know. So I always had a deep love for music, and that just kind of blossomed in the later years. When I was 12, I remember just really, do you remember the video hits? Do you remember that TV show? Exposing my age.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you'd see Destiny's Child performing live, and you'd see all the 90s kids performing. I remember I was watching Destiny's Child, and I was really young, and I remember at that age I was looking and I was like, I want to do that. It was like this internal awakening of that's what I want to do. So I started just singing everywhere I could, anywhere I could. I got some lessons here and there, and just kind of fueled that passion while I was going through school, and high school and uni and all those things. When I got to uni, I kind of was at this point where I was like, okay, what are the things that is stable? Because a lot of the time, our parents say, make sure you get something that's really stable. And what is something that I love? And it came to fruition that I ended up becoming a music teacher within the public system. So I graduated with a master's. I went into the world of education, and teaching aspiring musicians and such young minds was probably the best part of the job. But there was something inside that I feel like was always missing, because what would happen is I would teach, but 90% of the job was not with the kids, and it wasn't inspiring children. It was a lot of admin, a lot of politics, and things that just wasn't something that I was interested in. So I had to kind of sit back and review and say, okay, what is it that you want to do? What is it that's going to make you happy? And how can you serve people with the knowledge that you have? So I just kind of went back to it and I said, well, what are my two loves? And it was music and teaching. And that's kind of where the inception of becoming a vocal coach happened. I used my degrees to get that education. I worked in a couple of other schools, and then I decided to progress my knowledge by doing a New York vocal coaching course to be a voice technician. And that allowed me to really open up kind of the world of voice and really basically be a good tool and a vessel for students in helping them facilitate and discover their full potential. And it was actually my students, believe it or not. When I was 10, I had Rise Academy in my head as this dream that one day, if I had to open up a school, it would be called Rise Academy of Music. And then when I was at this other school, my students said to me, Tina, you should open up your own school. I feel like you'd be really good at it. And it was actually students being almost that guiding light to be like, hey, you're missing something here. And I decided to go for it. I mean, I was blessed enough to have quite a bit of experience in being a vocalist on X Factor, being contestants on X Factor and The Voice and Australian Idol. My first gig, which to me is like so cool. I was 16 years old, and my first paycheck was being a vocalist on the grand final of Australian Idol. And I was a vocalist on kind of like the actual final show. And that was my first paycheck. And I've still got it somewhere because I was like, oh my God, this is like so cool. And kind of using that knowledge, I was like, well, I have a lot to offer to students that want to learn more about The Voice, and that's what brings me here today. It's a very condensed version, but hopefully I've covered all the points.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like for you, you're somebody who's been like, you've had experiences like in the entertainment industry, being on those types of shows. Like, do you sort of like now looking backwards, like, do you have some insights that you think about? Because I'm sure there's a lot of like artists out there who think that's the be it and end all, right? But then for you, you probably have a bit more insight going, you know what? There is, you get a time there, but you can't really just sort of sustain and be there. You got to find your own thing. Can you share us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So it is very common that when people enter these types of shows, there is this kind of put all your eggs in one basket. If I'm successful, then it means, I was supposed to be here. And if I don't make it, it means I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. And this is not the path. It's just simply not true. I mean, one of the things that I tell my students is that you have to look at everything as an opportunity, but not the final destination of where you're supposed to be. Remember, things in life are either going to be a distraction or they're going to be a redirection. And you have to remember those things. A redirection or something that's going to lead you to your right path is what I meant to say, sorry. So with shows like this, you have to just treat it as an opportunity to get experience, to be in the industry, to understand diverse people and how they all work, and really in a way, what it can do and what it should do, hopefully, is actually make you more sure of yourself and what it is that you want, who you want to work with, how you want to be treated, how you want to be represented in that light. But whether you are just in the top 20 of auditions and you haven't even gotten to the TV stage, or you make it to the top 3, it shouldn't really define you. I mean, the truth is with competitions like this, a lot of the time, the audience that are watching don't really hold on to those memories for a long period of time. They watch the show, the show's finished, they're probably a little bit in the wave of media for like a few months, and then everyone kind of goes back to normal life. So, as a contestant or as an artist, you shouldn't be holding that as the way in which people remember you. It's just a glimpse of the bigger picture.
That's amazing, because you have so much like bigger picture insight. Because I would come across musicians, artists who hold on to this image, or get sort of like analysis paralysis, or I feel like there's only one way of making it. And I feel like for you, you're sort of like, kind of like you're busting through the stereotypes and through the ceiling effect. And you yourself not only have a school, but you're also a creative. You also are writing your own works and making your own MVs. Like, you're really like not limiting yourself. And I think that's probably a reason why you make such a good like a mentor. But do you yourself have people that mentored you? How did you get all this insight? How did you able to consolidate and go, actually, you can actually do it all and also be able to give? Like, where did that all come from?
I believe that in order to be good at what you do, it's all about how you view yourself. Now, I tell my students this, and I believe this wholeheartedly. I always will see myself as a student. There is always something that you can learn from somebody. It doesn't matter who it is. Whether it's your student, whether it's someone you just met at a coffee shop, there's always going to be sometimes an interaction or a conversation that brings wisdom to you. And I always say to my students, I am just a really good student. And that's all it is. I'm not sitting above you. I'm with you and I'm your teammate. And I feel like in life, in order to be successful, now I know that everyone has a different definition of this, but my belief is you always have to be willing to learn and be open to different ways of doing things, and really kind of listening to what in this instance for students, what your students want. So by absorbing and kind of being a sponge, I feel like that is the definition of success. It's not kind of staying in one lane and just saying, okay, this is the only thing that I am. This is the only thing that I can do. Now, as I mentioned before, music, I feel like, is who I am. It's not what I do. But the thing is, music has so many avenues. You don't have to just teach. You can write music, you can tour, you can do creative, like songwriting with somebody, or you can do, as you said, like music videos. You can start to dive into other creative avenues that are linked to music. And I think that's something that I encourage everybody to do. Don't just look at what you're good at and what you love, but don't be afraid to eventuate into different areas and see where it can grow. So it's been something that I think since I was young, opportunities are things that I embrace, and sometimes they're not the right ones for you, and that's okay. There's lessons learnt there, and other times there are opportunities there that really are meant for you, and kind of the universe and God kind of shows you that, you know?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, for you, okay, you've got 3 businesses, okay? And I've read recently you've got a sunglasses brand that you've started up as a side hustle. I mean, you're a woman who's just sort of like diverse in abilities, and being able to come up with ideas that are not even related to music, but being able to pursue it as well. Like, how, in terms of business wise, how does it kind of all align, and where do you get the energy to kind of put into all these works and kind of like manage it at the same time? Tell us.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that one. So basically, my vision for, I promise there's a link here, okay, just bear with me. There's a vision with Rise Academy of Music. I want it to be a mind, body and soul experience, not just music. It needs to be, you need to be able to look after your body, hence the mat Pilates instructor. Being able to look after your body and nurture it, care for it, so that you can be your optimum, or work at your optimum performance. Your mind, you need to be able to know what's good for you, to take care of yourself, to whether that's meditate, whether that's pray, find something that will bring you to your center, and allow you to reflect things in your life and what's happened to you in a very healthy way. And then of course the soul, and the soul, I believe, is what music is. It is the avenue. It's a way to speak. It's a way to express in sometimes ways that you cannot otherwise. So with the sunglasses avenue, when I'm not singing and teaching, I love to be an example for my students, look after my body, look after my health. And I am always a person that loves to be outdoors. Like, it's a beautiful day here in Sydney, Australia. The sky is blue. There's not a cloud in the sky. And my body just wants to go out and go for a walk by the water. That's how it feels. So sunglasses is kind of something I'm always wearing, but it became more of a larger thing for me. So even though sunglasses are the product, I was walking and I was thinking to myself, I was like, why are sunglasses so expensive? That was the first question. Like, all the good ones, why are they so expensive? No brands mentioned here. It's okay. But you understand, there's quite a price tag there. And then I thought to myself, when I was looking at sunglasses brands, a lot of them are obviously for the advertising world. So they get their models and they hire all these things and stuff, and that's fantastic. But I was walking one day where all good ideas happen are usually on the toilet or having a shower or going for a walk. This is just the nature of things, right? Lucky I was on the walk on this one. And I thought to myself, what happens if I had a brand that celebrated the everyday individual? My students inspire me every day. They teach me every day, and they don't even know it. So why can't we celebrate them? So it kind of started with that principle in mind. And I thought, I wonder if I can look this up, see if I can make this happen. And if I can, see if I can make it affordable, see if I can make it high quality, but see if I can get the community to be the driving force behind this thing, to share stories, to share all walks of life, all ages, all cultures. And that was kind of the actual real fuel to developing what's known now as 𝗔𝗍𝗍. So I decided to do it as a side hustle because it was just another way to fuel my passion for people and life and being in Australia and enjoying the beaches and the Australian lifestyle, and welcoming that multiculturalism as well that comes in Australia. So that was kind of the fuel, and I decided to roll with it. And you know, we only opened in April, what is it, 2023. We only opened this year.
Wow.
And it's been climbing, and my students have been wearing them, and we just had a showcase and they were all wearing it in their opening piece, and they were like, yes, we love this. And I'm like, this is why I do this. It's just like oh, that's awesome that they believe in the mission behind the product. I think to myself, sometimes you just need to ask. You know, the worst you're going to get's a no, and that's okay. Like, it's all right if you get a no, but for every, you know, 1,000 no's that you get, you're going to get 10 yeses somewhere, and that's going to be the guiding path. That's going to be the direction you're supposed to go in. But to not even try, to not even ask, you're failing yourself before you even try, and I don't think that's healthy. And it's one of those things too where I find that the most successful people that I've met in my life are people that are humble and are people that actually share the knowledge that they've learned. And I'm sure you can relate on this one too, Maria, is, you know, sometimes you meet, as you said, like certain entrepreneurs and you know, artists, but they keep it very close to their chest as to what got them there and who they contacted and what they did. And, you know, that's fine if that's what you want to do. But I find that when you share the success with somebody and you help them, I feel like that's just, you're spreading that good energy, as you say.
Yeah, I think there's more of a ripple effect. I've noticed like artists who kind of keep to themselves, they can only get so far. Whereas what you do, I think I always feel whenever I think of your name and who you are, I'm like, oh my God, how do I get her out there? Like, I just naturally, innately just want to connect. And each time you tell me of a win, it's so exciting, because knowing what kind of person you are, how much inspiration. And even when I was working with you on your MV and seeing how the kids were like, you know, I can just tell they must have came to you really quiet and meek, and then when they did their thing, their bit were like really open, and you can really see just how much amazing work you've done to give them that space to grow. And not only that, you give them space in your music video. You know, what kind of artists usually do that? I was thinking about, I was talking to 𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗙, we're like, I don't know, because lots of artists are very, I'm just going to make it like this. It needs to be cool all the way. But for you, it's just so inclusive, and it's such a refreshing feel, you know, being a part of your music video, but also seeing the work that you do. And the fact that now you're coming up with all sorts of other ideas that are also having their ripple effect. Well, it's like you can just sleep and poop and take showers and something, right? Like a hamster, like a lucky hamster. Yeah.
You put that quite well. I like that.
Now, can I ask you a question about what are some of your like valuable lessons when it comes to being a business owner? Like, you probably touched upon that earlier, but has there been anything that really stuck to you in terms of how do you grow and expand your enterprise? Because you're going to have more things wanting your energy. How do you go yes and no? Because you probably have to say no to certain things and then to pave the way to do the things that you want. How do you make those types of decisions?
I think earlier on it was hard to balance kind of like heart with business, because heart was bigger than business, and I was like, how do I do this thing, you know, because the heart of me goes, oh, you know, if I could, I wish I could give it for free, you know. But then the business part goes, oh, well, no, you need a roof over your head, like you can't do that all the time. And yes, it's good to have those little things, but you can't do that long term. It's not sustainable. Now, through those experiences and through also meeting certain people that don't align with your values, I find that every choice that I make, I don't think about myself. So what I mean by that is I have myself in there, but I always think about, how does this affect my students? Does this align with our core values as a school? Does this align with my personal values? Is it something that we can learn and grow from this? Is this a positive opportunity forward? Does this represent us in the right light? So a lot of the choices that are made these days are based on the value or the principle behind the opportunity. You know, sometimes opportunities sound amazing. You know, we'll pay you this much to do this endorsement, or we'll pay you this much to do this. But then when you find out more about what they're going to do with your face, what they're going to do with what I can and cannot say. They're kind of locked in as to how I can advertise this thing. You very quickly realize that you'd rather not take it. Money is not everything. And I personally always want to put my values and my morals and you know, treat and cherish this school and everybody in it with the utmost respect. So putting it always first. You know, if the value aligns with the monetary, that's just bonus, but it's not always about that. So it's always been definitely driven by what our beliefs are as a whole and what my internal values are regarding this. So.
That's amazing. Yeah, because I think as you know, you grow, you will get lots of opportunities, and for you to really have a moment to kind of feel out gut instinct wise whether what is being said is actually how you feel about that as well. Because sometimes you might go into it and realize, oh my gosh, I wish I didn't, you know, take that collaboration because the person I'm working with is like super toxic monster. You never know, right? And then you have to deal with that as well because you've got so much like empathetic and nurturing energy. I'm guessing there'll be people who want that and they might take that from you and you know, through work. So being able to kind of like honor that is such a important thing, especially the fact that you're the core of so many different entities as well. So it's really good to hear it from you because I think a lot of artists aren't aware of it. They're kind of like, oh
yeah, I think it's good to be reminded that, you know, everything that you do in life, there is always, as you mentioned earlier, a ripple effect. And, you know, at the end of the day, I definitely put a lot of importance on being a good example for people. So even though I think, oh, you know, it's my life, I can do what I want, you know, and things like that, there is that element of like, there are people looking up at you. There are young students looking up at you, seeing what you do, seeing how you behave, seeing how you carry yourself, and seeing who you are. So, you know, there is something that I really cherish about that. So because I know that, and I know that there are people that are kind of, I guess, looking up to me, which, you know, is a blessing. I don't see it that way. I see us on the same level, but it is true. You're going to have people that are inspired by you or want to aspire to be like you. And so these things, they're very important to me. I have to remember, and whoever's watching this needs to remember that a lot of the time you are an example for the people that adore you and love you. And sometimes when you carry that with you, your decisions are a lot more clearer. You know, your logic and the way you see things can be a lot clearer as to which direction you need to go.
Yeah. So for like the audience of Artful Impact, it's not only in Australia, but it's also internationally. Now, people might want to connect with you. Do you do online things? Do you do private lessons? Like what sort of things? Because I'm sure there'll be lots of budding sort of, you know, emerging singers, songwriters, vocalists who might want, or people who just have no clue about it, just want to get that sort of, you know, entry level understanding, but also working with someone who has the know-how, but also the facilitation into guiding someone new into the craft. Like, tell us, how can they reach you?
Well, if you want to check us out, you can always go to our website at www.𝗓𝗔𝗡𝗏𝑜fmusic.com. I am the singing teacher here, of course, and I do teach internationally. We've taught in Singapore. We're going to be teaching in Greece soon.
Wow.
And we do online international private lessons, so that's not a problem. The only thing is just the time differences. But if you'd like, one of the things that we'd like to welcome new students to do is to book a first assessment with us through the website. The reason why is because the first assessment takes the pressure off. Basically, it's just a chance for me to get to know you, to hear your voice, see how we can tailor lessons to suit your needs, and also allows to ask any questions, because sometimes we do get students that have never sung before, absolutely love it, but have never sung in front of anybody. And it can be quite daunting to kind of just meet your teacher and be like, sing for me, great, da da da. It's very daunting and scary. So our first assessment takes away that pressure. It's building that rapport, seeing if we're going to gel, and seeing it's something that you want to pursue with Rise Academy Music. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm here to facilitate. I'm here to help however I can. So yeah, you can do that. If you'd like to follow us on Instagram, it's at Rise Academy of Music.
Excellent. Thank you, Tina, for so much for joining us with Artful Impact, and looking forward to your future endeavors.
Absolute pleasure. And thank you for having me, Maria. Bye, everybody.